I think yesterday's playoffs kind of just highlighted one of the biggest problems in this Jazz and Grizzlies series, and it's just the fact with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert and their struggles as they're going to continue to happen. Not too long ago, I made a video talking about why Rudy Gobert was neglected by the Utah Jazz, and especially Donovan Mitchell, who doesn't even look for him anymore. In fact, based on the statistics, and if you actually watch the game, you can tell that it's honestly at this point on purpose and it's not on accident. Now, despite me making this video, the Jazz actually won yesterday's game, but not by much, and honestly, they struggled throughout most of the game, and a lot of people wanted to blame Rudy Gobert. However, there's something that people didn't look at. A lot of people are criticizing him because he had 5 points and shot 0 for 1, but I think that kind of just highlights the whole thing I've been trying to say lately, that Rudy Gobert is getting neglected. Because unless your name is a guy like Anthony Davis and Nikola Jokic, and you're a big part of the offense where I guess you either facilitate it or you're the biggest playmaker, like Jokic is basically the point guard of the Nuggets, and the only scoring opportunity you're going to get is either on putback dunks or plays that are designed for you, and Rudy Gobert isn't getting those plays designed for him. It also doesn't help when Donovan Mitchell, who you could argue is one of the biggest ball handlers on the team, maybe the most predominant, does not get the ball to Rudy Gobert when he needs to. In fact, Donovan Mitchell has problems like trying to play hero ball and just taking contested shots for no reason whatsoever during the game. Rudy Gobert's defensive presence and having 17 rebounds was the biggest reason why the Jazz even won that game, which is so crazy to think that they could barely beat a Luka Doncic-less Mavericks team. It scares me to say that there's an actual possibility that if they keep playing like this, that Dallas could actually win the series. Before I do get into the rest of this video, I do want to say a couple things. Number one, if you guys have not, leave a like on this and subscribe to the channel if you're new and notifications on. And second, and very most importantly, when I do these types of videos, not all of them are going to be on a topic for the whole entire thing because we have so many games going on in the playoffs and I want to talk about at least everything once. So while this video has to do with Rudy Gobert and the Jazz and things of that nature, I'm also going to be talking about the Memphis series, and I'm also going to talk about the Golden State series maybe a little bit, even the Philly thing, like whatever's going on throughout that day, I'm going to be talking about it, giving you guys a little bit of a recap and my thoughts about it. Maybe when a team gets eliminated, I'll have a dedicated video to them, but other than that, a lot of these are just going to be topic based, not just on one thing, if that makes sense. Like I'm going to have multiple topics. Anyways, let's continue on. I guess the last thing I would like to note before I talk about the next series is just that Donovan Mitchell is the key problem, I think, right now in Utah. We're blaming Rudy Gobert, but honestly, I think all the problems start with Donovan Mitchell. Now, in the Rudy Gobert video where I talked about them neglecting him, a lot of people said, oh, but he can't score into the basket, even though he had Klay Thompson on, which I know Klay Thompson is a good defender, but the height advantage is still there. Yesterday, you had Jalen Brunson on Donovan Mitchell, and they were just not passing him the ball. And yes, people are saying, oh, he can't score, but the problem is that if you don't get opportunities to score and you don't give a chance, how are you supposed to prove yourself? The sample size of Rudy Gobert and these under the paint baskets are very small at this point, and maybe there was a point in time where he's done this, but honestly, it hasn't been that noticeable if you ask me. If Donovan is going to continue just to pretend like Rudy Gobert does not exist and try to shun him away from the offense, it's just going to create a lot more problems. I think there's no doubt in my mind if the Jazz somehow lose to a Mavericks-less Luka Doncic, which we don't know if he's going to play throughout the series, I don't think he will, to be honest, that team is going to be torn apart. Everything about it is going to be just destroyed because at that point, you're a joke of an organization as if you already weren't. I want to move on from the Utah problems over onto the Memphis game because that was actually a really good game to watch. Now, the thing about it is it was a close game to a point. However, in that game, it seemed like Minnesota was always in control. There was never a point in time where I felt like Memphis actually had control of the game. Even though there were points that Memphis were up by a couple points and, you know, Memphis was having the game tied and it seemed like, oh, they might got this. No, I never had the feeling that they were going to win that game yesterday. By the way, I don't think I actually realized the fact that just because Memphis lost that one game, a lot of people are quick to say, oh, they're pretenders, or oh, they're not a good team, they're frauds. I don't like to judge series based off one game. I've learned from the past that a series can change game after game, so I'm not going to do just that. However, Anthony Edwards went off, Karl Anthony Towns went off, even though a lot of people were trying to say that Cat was the problem, which is so fucking ridiculous. He had one bad game. Now, I don't think Anthony Edwards is going to have as many points as he had every single game. I don't think Cat's going to have that performance every single game. However, if all the players can contribute like they did yesterday, and the T-Wolves keep playing games where they are in control for a majority of it and they don't, I guess, duck the smoke from Memphis, if that makes sense, then they're going to win this series easily. There's no way in hell I refuse to believe that Memphis is going to go down like that. They're going to go down with a fight, and I respect that about this team. Also, a quick PSA to Ja Morant. I need you to stop landing the way you do. This man jumps in the air and somehow has not got injured, and if you see the way he lands, it is so scary. I'm not even a Memphis Grizzlies fan, and every time I see this man in the air, that shit terrifies me, and I get prime D Rose vibes. Now, Ja Morant was actually on fire to start off the game. I think there was a point in time where he made made like 5 straight shots or something of that nature. It was probably something a lot crazier than that, but honestly, in the third and fourth, he just didn't show up. Like I said, I don't expect Memphis to go down this easy. Minnesota is a good team, don't get me wrong, but if they were to beat the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round, I think the West would be completely shaken up, because then the Suns would be playing the T-Wolves. But now, all jokes aside, I would love to see Memphis win it. However, I am kind of pulling for Minnesota because I like Cat, I like Ant, and I love to see upsets like this. The Philadelphia game was a blowout for a majority of it. To be honest, I thought the Raptors would have an opportunity to win that series, and I think a lot of us did. However, Philly really did show how dominant they were in game 1, so it definitely does make you wonder if they could even win a single game. However, I do have a little bit of optimism for the Raptors, because they're not going to have games where Fred VanVleet plays this bad and Gary Trent Jr. only has, what, like 8 or 9 points. I also don't see a situation where Tyrese Maxey goes off every single night. I mean, if he did, that'd be great for them, and it would definitely show the development he's made. However, I just don't see that happening. A lot of people are saying, oh, Philly and the free throws, and while that is true for a majority of the time, I don't think those 9 free throws that I believe Joel Embiid shot were the only reason why they won that game. It was probably because of Tyrese Maxey, and some of the Raptors' key players just could not get it going, and that's fine. They have a multiple game series that they have to win. If they can take game 2 and then go into their home court and try to steal games 3 and 4, that'd be very interesting for them, and honestly, it'd put them in a great situation. But like I said, I don't want to judge a series based off one game. Also, I love how a week ago we were calling Nick Nurse a really good head coach, and that if he went to the Lakers, he'd fix that team, and then a week later we're saying he's the worst coach to ever exist. Like, make up your mind. Is he a good coach? Is he a great coach? Or is he someone that's not good? Because I think Nick Nurse is personally a pretty good coach. And I believe it was Niang on the Sixers, I'm not sure how to say his first name, but he said that this game is going to come down to who has to make the more, I guess, better coaching adjustments. So I got Nick Nurse in that situation. No due respect for Doc Rivers, but that man is a terrible NBA head coach, and the fact he has a job completely blows my mind. I wouldn't trust Doc Rivers to coach my YMCA basketball team. That's how bad he is. And finally, we have the final game of the night, which was the Denver Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors game. This was a game, alright. I mean, Denver was not going to win it, and Golden State clearly blew them out. I'm trying not to judge this series already, because I know that in the past that hasn't done me well, but when they have Steph Curry coming off the bench and they still dominate you, I'm a little terrified for this Denver Nuggets team. Also, because the fact that Nuggets might get swept, a lot of people are trying to say, oh, what happens if the MVP gets swept in back-to-back years, which I think is an interesting question that I think we need to ask. I will say though, I don't appreciate the Jokic slander, just saying like, oh, this is why Jokic is a fake, this is why he's not that good, this isn't that. But it's like, have you seen the fucking team he has? I wouldn't be able to do well even if I was the MVP. There is time left in the series, so obviously I'm not that worried, even though I'm not gonna lie, if they keep playing like this series is gonna be over in not even a week. However, I'm not gonna say it's just Denver playing bad. I'm gonna give credit to the Warriors because they played very well, and this team is honestly ready for the playoffs. If the Phoenix Suns and Golden State Warriors were to play in the Western Conference Finals, I think me and a lot of people would agree that'd be the series of the year. And the crazy part about it is that was only day 1 of the playoffs. We have so many more days to go over, and honestly, I'm here for it.